There we go.
All right. Hello, everyone. This is, I don't know, what number is this here, Jorge? This is Real Estate Roundtable number 5. I don't know.
Something more than 5 and less than 100.
Yeah, more than 5, less than 100. I am one of the hosts here, Jayson Bates, and I host a podcast here in the Valley of the Sun, Phoenix, Arizona. And I'll put a link up in the chat room for that. And I'm joined here once again with Jorge Cuervas. How you doing, buddy?
Hola, amigo. How are you?
Doing, I heard a good saying today, and I think we can all kind of take this.
Okay.
I am too blessed to be stressed. That's how I'm doing today.
Okay.
Too blessed to be stressed.
All right.
So I thought that was kind of cool. I was on
right.
radio for the Cardinals. Go Cardinals this weekend, by the way. Hey, so we have some good special guests for this Real Estate Roundtable, right?
Yeah, we got, I'll introduce my guest and you introduce your guest. How we do that?
Beautiful. Sounds like a plan. Yeah.
All right. So today's topic is we are going over staging, talking about staging, tips for sellers, tips that real estate agents should know, just kind of covering overall staging and why it's important for any homeowner to do some type of staging, some type of prep work to a property before it gets listed on the market. So on my side, we have Joe. And Joe, I don't even know how to pronounce your last name. Potvin?
Yes, that's right.
Potvin? Joe Potvin she's from the Cincinnati area, and she's a stager. And actually, I'm just going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. I design to market home staging. We have been staging homes in Cincinnati since 2004. I have a team of 6 designers. We have a large warehouse of approximately 10,000 square feet. We own all the furniture we work with, and we rent and help individuals with vacant homes. And we also do a lot of work consulting with those that are going to be living in the homes when they're on the market. So we're really busy these days as people are getting ready for the spring market.
All right, great. I dig it. And then before we get started too, were you guys able to hear this Joe's sound okay?
She's a little soft on my end.
Yeah, it's a little bit muffled. We may need to turn that up just a little bit, but I can hear you. I can understand you.
Should I turn it up on the volume thing? Let's see.
Yeah, just turn it up maybe a little bit on your computer a little bit for your mic or something.
Is that sounding better?
Yeah, sounds a little bit better. You might want to put are those your Apple iPhones or earbuds?
Yes.
Yeah. Have them glide towards the front of your shirt there instead of behind you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're using the mic on the headphones. That perfect.
Yeah.
That'll work. Yeah. Okay, so
sorry about that.
Yeah, perfect. Beautiful.
Oh, good. Okay.
Good.
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Oh, good.
There we
go.
Right.
Go ahead. I'll let you finish up there, Jorge.
No, that's good. We got Joe's sound dialed in. So, Jayson, introduce your guest.
All right, cool. This is a realtor that I'm working with here in Phoenix, Arizona. And certainly if you are looking to purchase or sell here in Arizona, please reach out to her. She's very experienced, does a really good job. Her name is Tracy Swift. How you doing, Tracy?
Good. Thanks, Jayson, for the nice introduction. I'm very excited to join all of you in this collab. I think it's a great mix of people. And I am in the Phoenix Scottsdale area. As Jayson said, I'm a realtor with Coldwell Banker. And I look forward to the discussion.
All right. Awesome. All right. Well, I'm glad you guys are here. This is really cool because we haven't had 2 guests on at the same time. So let's just go dive right into it. First thing, if I were to go like Joe with you first, and because you're the official stager here, and then I'd like to get Tracy's opinion on this also from the real estate agent side. Joe, why should a homeowner do anything with their house to stage it, to prep it? Why should they be aware of this and ready to do something about it?
The basic principle of staging is that there would be a positive return in an investment in money or time that you make in a house that you're going to be selling. So if you're able to say, I'm going to put my home on the market at its best and I can quickly sell the home, as opposed to that person who just kind of surfs it out there hoping something will happen And typically then a number of weeks into the sale process, a realtor is going to say, we're not getting a lot of activity, or maybe we've had showings where the feedback isn't positive. So the first response can often be, let's drop the price. So the kind of adage that we as in staging use is that the belief is that you can make the first drop is always going to be more money than you would spend if you go and prepare your home and have it correctly ready for the market.
Right. I agree. And then and Tracy, you being the realtor, you would agree then that, if you, the longer your house stays on the market, and, because in most cases, it's either going to be priced too high, or there's the house really hasn't been prepped, whether it's staging or just, declutterizing and stuff like that. So in your opinion, would you agree with that then too, that, it does add value, or it helps the buyers be able to see the property, for what it is?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's a proven point. When a home is either staged or cleaned or organized, it's going to sell quicker. People will not look at if a picture doesn't look good on the internet, and most people are looking on the internet,
right,
they'll skip over the house if there's old junk all over it. It just doesn't leave a good impression. And I'd love to hear Joe's opinion also even on vacant homes, because one of the struggles that I have is sometimes I have all different price points, but sometimes when you have a house that's completely vacant, people used to say, oh, well, you can imagine it and you can see what you want. But I find most people don't have a good imagination.
Yeah. Well, there's actually a statistic on that. I teach a lot of continuing ed classes and have researched it outside of just the statistics that stagers provide. Theoretically, only 10% of people can walk into a house that's empty and imagine what their things will look like in that home. So one of the major focuses on vacant staging is to say, if that 90% that gets overwhelmed when they walk into an empty house can walk in, and maybe the place where the sofa is sitting, they can say, okay, plug in mine. This is how I would live here. So that is really a really good point to what staging, where it fits in. And one of the things that's interesting is everybody claims to love this idea of open floor plans, open concept, but they're actually worse when they're vacant. If you walk into an open space and you've lived in, we in Cincinnati can call the Cincinnati box, 4 bedrooms, the partition living room, dining room. You live in that and you go to this open floor plan and you can't imagine, where does my dining area go? Where do I go for my, family space? So it really helps provide visuals. And we always tell clients, in terms of vacant staging, that 50% of our focus is on how will the photos translate to grab the shoppers to come look at your property. And then the other 50% is, when they get there, are they going to be able to look at the rooms and feel good and be compelled to make a purchase? It's almost like retail merchandising hits the real estate market, and we need to cover both bases to draw the buyers in.
Yeah, I like that comparison too of it is sort of like retail merchandising, is that to show off a room when it's empty like that, like you say, whether it's a bedroom or even just like an open floor plan, it is hard to visualize. It is hard to visualize where exactly stuff would go. And even if you have a decent sized bedroom, when it's empty, it's hard to figure out whether your king size bed is actually going to fit in there along with your dresser and your armoire and everything else, if you're that buyer that's trying to figure out this home's going to work for you or not.
Well, and ironically, we get calls all the time from people who have moved out of a home and they say, I do not understand it. When I lived in this home, I had a king bed, I had an armoire, I had a dresser, nightstands, and now everybody complains about the size of my bedroom. And I don't know what it is, but something pulls the walls in and it feels so much smaller. You can see that if you're ever in a bedroom that has carpet and you see where the markings of where the bed used to be were, it looks so small.
Right.
But really, that just even getting a bed and 2 nightstands, lamps, and attractive artwork can show people, look, there's plenty of room left over for all the other things and furniture that you would want to have in here.
Right. And then ultimately, again, go back to Tracy, that's what we're talking about. You have to help the buyer visualize the property, show all the features off in that property so that buyer will actually think, yeah, this house is for me. And does it make it easier for the buyer then to come to that decision, whether this is the house or not for them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've seen it in so many of my own listings. I had 2 listings that took the longest to sell were vacant because no one could see. And you're right, Joe, about the open floor plan. There were 2 open floor plan houses, and people couldn't figure, where's a dining area, where's a living room, where does my TV go, where do I put my couch? And I'm like thinking to myself, wow, this is a huge space. I can't believe people think it's small, but it's true. People see it smaller than larger.
Right.
And logically speaking, I used to think, oh, back in New York, where I had a lot of collectibles when I sold my house, everybody says, you have, nice stuff, but it's a lot of stuff. So I kept taking more and more out. So I'm like, well, what's the happy medium of having some stuff with not being too personal, but not being vacant? And I think that's where you come into play, the right amount.
Well, and that definitely goes to the other side of staging, which is really, it's a kind of half of our time is spent in owner-occupied homes, the other half spent in vacant. And the thing with owner-occupied is, like you said, it's exactly striking that balance. And for when we have people that are keepers who tend to lean toward being a little more cluttered, we'll bring up the feeling you have when you go into a hotel room. It's nicely presented. You have few nice pieces of artwork, attractive bedding, some lamps, a nice piece of furniture. For a person that's a keeper, they might feel the staging process makes their home lacking in personality. But if you keep that kind of simple view in mind, it's not a bad kind of measure of where a goal could be. And of course, you're going to have more decorative pieces. But like if you look at, say, a coffee table, maybe 1 or 2 items on a coffee table, not a lot of different small pieces, a stack of books, a lot of clutter, because you want people to look at your house, not your possessions. And that's that balance.
Yeah, it's interesting. Jayson, what left you at?
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't walk into a model home and, look at 4 walls, right? I mean, they always have them staged. And I can't, every time I go into a model home, I'm like, man, that's cool. It's always very, very modern. It captures the essence of the house, if you will, and the layout of the house. I always am impressed by those people who stage those homes. Which brings me to my point, though, or to my question to you, Joe, is that, I walk into a lot of homes here in Arizona. We have certain style homes. We have Adobe style homes that really kind of are the, essence of desert living, if you will, the flat roofs and, the poles sticking out of the house and whatnot. And then we have some that are kind of Tuscan style homes. How important is the decor of the home? Because I've walked into some homes and they have, and no offense to anybody, but they have maybe Far East decor in the house, but it's an Adobe style house. It didn't seem to match. How important is the decor within the home in translation to selling the home?
It's where being my group that stages our homes they're interior designers, and there's a balance between too much of the same thing, because you may have, for example, in Cincinnati, we don't have Adobe and not that many Tuscan, but we'll have a Victorian home, a traditional home, a contemporary home. Now, you don't want to look like a package that the only way you can live in a house is if you buy lock, stock, and barrel into that style. But if you are, if you use principles to stay somewhat true to the style, but maybe dial it back a little bit. So in our case, if a home is contemporary, we can go with a little bit of softness, like maybe instead of going hard edged and chrome finish, maybe we go with some crate and barrel and some more natural colors, so that a person who wants to live in a contemporary home can see themselves with their set of styles able to do that. And what we tell sellers is that our focus is to say, if 10 people come into your home, regardless of their personal style, we want 8 of them to say, I could see myself living here. So, there's 2 or 3 that are maybe just not going to get it. But if you can get the largest group to relate to what you're presenting by having current colors and well-presented rooms, you broaden the number of prospective buyers that can be interested in your property.
Absolutely.
Right. And that also means that the stager's got to have a variety of items also on their shelves to be able to stage the houses with, right? You can't, there's going to be a lot of different color palettes, I guess, right? That you're going to try to match up as best as possible.
Yeah, it's so we usually have about 75 houses staged at any time. And we look at not only style, but we can stage in the Cincinnati market an entry level modestly priced home can be 100,000, 125, and we can work in a home that's 3 million. So we need to have consideration of the price point of the furnishings because they would match what the buyer would likely own. We have to keep scale. Urban spaces are really becoming more popular, but large overstuffed pieces in an urban space makes no sense. And then you also,
Right.
like you said, color. That's another in style and trend. And there's a whole bunch, it's a whole matrix of things to keep it on target.
All right. So, okay, we established that, it's an important thing to do, to go ahead and get in there and stage a house. Now, where does a homeowner get started? Like if I'm a homeowner and I'm looking to put my house in the market and I contact a realtor, what is typical? Like, what should a homeowner be doing? Should they be contacting the stager and the realtor? What happens with you, Joe, and what do you do, Tracy? Do you have if you can also let us know what's your process? Go ahead. Well, actually, let's get Tracy. If you could answer first.
Sure. Depending on the price point, I'm going to be completely honest. If a house is under, 200,000, staging could be a little costly. So what I do is work with the seller to organize and keep the house, first of all, number one, clean. A clean house is key. I can't tell you how many disgusting homes I've walked into, and I'm like, come on, people, really? When I take buyers through, they will get so fixated on something so minor that they forget the house. They'll say, well, I don't like that piece of furniture or that color wall, or that person looks dirty, or they didn't clean their baseboards. And that's it. It's done. It's like, that's it. First impression over with. So when I list, my goal is to try to get the homeowner to take some advice for me to clean the home first. And then if it's at a price point where I could afford the staging, or the seller can afford also paying for it. Sometimes I chip in or pay for it depending on the price point. Sometimes the seller does. If it's a high-end home, I want it staged. End of story. End of story. You need to look like a magazine. No one's going to look at it if it doesn't look like a magazine. Middle range price homes, I still always advise for staging of some sort. Vacant homes, if they can't afford it, I try to bring somewhere like a flower arrangement, leave it on a countertop or something to give it life. But that's my process. So yeah, I always advise, it's just based on price point, but obviously cleanliness is always first for me, no matter what.
Right. And then Joe, do you get calls directly from homeowners that, hey, I got to stage my house, I'm putting it on market, or is it a combination between homeowners and real estate agents?
The largest part of our business, I would guesstimate about 80%, is realtor referral. And I think some of this comes down to how you define staging. Sometimes people think staging is bring furniture in and, do the kind of maybe what Tracy is referring to with spending at the higher end of that price range in the staging world. But we also do a lot of work where realtors will come to us and say, I've got a modestly priced home. I know that it can be really great. There's not a large budget. Our consultation, regardless of the size of the home, is $200 here in our market. And so we can go into a home, whether, it's a modestly priced home or higher, and put that punch list together. The things like, are the colors on the walls current? Is the dated brass? Can you take it out and go to Lowe's and inexpensively put a current light fixture in? So I believe at most price points, and granted in different markets, there probably are lower price points where it's harder to justify. But I think at all price points, given a wisely spent amount of dollars that you can budget, you can make a huge impact. It's just keeping in mind what the seller's budget is, what the price of the home is, and what those biggest impact items. Like, we had a condo a few years ago, and this couple was convinced that they had to replace all the carpet. And we looked at it, and the carpet was actually in great condition, but the wall color in some of the rooms was so off that it was making the carpet look bad. And so we saved them from recarpeting this condo, and they painted a few rooms, which is a lot less expensive. So it's kind of helping them solve the puzzle and do it economically can also be the kind of the end result.
Right. And that makes total sense. Where
That's a good point because, a lot of people, I think, get used to their living environment and can't see it from the outside, so to speak. And so they just get used to it and but then when you walk in, you're kind of like, oh, okay, that doesn't match. You got, mop carpet with yellow walls. It doesn't match. You got to fix that.
Well,
Yeah,
that's a
you
good
need
point.
a different set of eyes on it.
The thing that's really amazing is things like a water spot in the ceiling. We'll see that and say, oh, is that a spot that you have an issue? And they'll say, oh my gosh, the kids overflowed the bathtub 10 years ago. We fixed the plumbing issue, but we never painted the ceiling. And it's nice to have a third party that doesn't have a vested interest in the sale process to go through, like mold, like the caulk in the bathtub isn't fresh, or the ceiling tile in the basement has water stains. I mean, anyone thinks there's water or mold problems and you're cooked. Yeah, exactly. So sometimes we always tell people we're not inspectors, but we have the level of knowledge your buyer probably has. And if it scares us, it may scare your buyer.
Yeah.
So Joe, go through can you give us like a maybe top 5 things for existing home, because we're talking about people living in their home. They're used to it. They walk home, they throw their keys in the basket, they grab a sandwich and then they're propping up watching, American Idol. Right. And then they get used to the house. So give us the top 5 things that homeowners can do to help improve the showability, I guess, if that's a word. I try to make up words on board.
Okay.
The presentation, if you will.
Well, number one,
that they can do. Easy.
100% agree with Tracy. Cleanliness. And I really take it not just what you see, because sometimes we'll say to somebody, you really need to clean your home. And they'll say, oh, I have a cleaning person that comes in. They'll take care of it. But that's a different level. What we always say to people is that, people, you can tolerate your own messiness, but you can't tolerate others. So if somebody opens your kitchen drawer and it's not clean, or things are falling out when they open a cabinet, then I hate to say it, but you've got to be really thorough. You've got to hit baseboard, ceiling fans, chandeliers, you name it. So cleanliness number one. One that, and we say keep the floors clear in closets, about 80% full on the hanging space, and the purpose of the closet needs to match. We have an area of Cincinnati that's really a popular young professional neighborhood, and they're really small, modest homes sometimes. And you'll go in a baby's room and open the closet, and it's mom and dad's work clothing. Well, immediately you've told the seller there's not enough closet space, so you just better not need this bedroom's closet because you're going to need to use it for something else. So that's important. The other thing is, and this is kind of trite, you hear this a lot, but it's really important, minimizing like family photos, religious items, people with children in sports that have trophies all over their shelves. Depersonalization is always a good idea, and you can keep some of it, but just minimize. Wallpaper, while wallpaper has its place, and real style trend watchers would say, oh, but wallpaper's back in style. I read something once, kind of facetious, that said, with a million different wallpapers, what makes any person think they're qualified to pick the one everyone will like? So it's just too risky.
Hey, I like the ones in Vegas. Vegas has those hotels there have awesome wallpaper.
But
good grief. I'm like, man, I need wallpaper in my house.
You know what? When you buy your new house, it's a great thing. But if you're selling one, it's a good idea to take it down. So that's really important. And light fixtures, trends come and go. The 80s brass. Now there's a new brass. Cincinnati, we're not probably quite as far along on the brass trail as larger cities. The new brush brass that's clean line and contemporary is very cool. But if you've got shiny brass from the 80s, it is so inexpensive to replace a flush mount light fixture or a chandelier. And, the buyer just wants to see current. You don't have to prove how expensive it was. It just needs to look good and current. Like drum shades can be popular, brushed nickel, polished chrome. Those are some finishes that people immediately associate that you're staying current with your style.
Yeah.
So those are some ideas.
Let me ask you this too, because I know here in Arizona, back in 2010, and Tracy can attest to this, there was a lot of investors that came into the valley here, flipping properties, modernizing properties. And I feel like we've gotten a little spoiled here in Arizona, because I'm from Columbus, Ohio, and there's homes there that are over 100 years old, right? In Arizona, you don't find too many homes that are over 100 years old. And in back east, and even in Chicago, you kind of embrace some of the traditional older type homes. Here, we see gold trim on a shower stall.
Oh,
The kind of the gold brashy trim instead of like silver trim, and it's only like 7 years old, and it's outdated.
In Cincinnati.
It's outdated.
It's true. Oh yeah. You know what? What's happened with the investors? They've raised the bar on people selling their homes in neighborhoods where a lot of investment activity has taken place. So if you live in a home where, 4 or 5 houses have been renovated and sold and they're current, and your home isn't, another thing that's crazy, but in older homes, basements that feel kind of creepy. Like if someone paints the floor gray and paints the walls white, automatically it just feels better. And so those kind of things come to play. And with our environment where we have an inventory of older historic homes, it's kind of, I'm going to use a big word here, that juxtaposition of contemporary or modern with the traditional homes. And so people don't gravitate toward traditional. I really think in most marketplaces in the country, if you look at retailers, I always tell realtors when I'm teaching classes, go to Target and look at the colors of the pillows in the aisles, look at the style of the accessories, go to Crate and Barrel, look at the styles that you're seeing, go to Restoration Hardware, look at the color palettes of the paints. Those retailers are setting the trend pretty much regardless of what city you're in. So if you can deliver some of that look, it's going to be a real win for you when you're selling your house.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
Is that
absolutely.
Tracy? Is that your experience?
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Interestingly, in Arizona, Jayson, you hit the nail right on the head. There's so many flipped homes, and after a while, they all, to me, look alike. In fact, I've seen the same faucet 7 times in like one day of showing homes. I'm like, one of those ones where you pull out and it's got the metal wrapped around it. You know what I'm talking about. It's really tall.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's a cool faucet, but it doesn't work in every house. But investors, the way they make money is they buy 100 of them and they stick them into every house regardless. And to your point, Jayson, too, before is, can you mix new and old? And I do agree. Absolutely, you can mix new and old. One of the trends in the Phoenix area is the mid-century modern, which we all know, the Mad Men style, this kind of, we call it Ralph Haver homes here, the Frank Lloyd Wright look as well. And especially in our historic districts, you're seeing this kind of juxtaposition of the cool metallics with, warm tones, which is beautiful. But I do believe sometimes people can overdo it. And you get so caught up in a certain style and it doesn't work, or the scale, as you mentioned, Joe. Scale is everything. When you have a 1,400 square foot house and the kitchen faucet is, 4 feet tall, it looks stupid. And I have buyers come in and say to me, I hate that kitchen. I'm looking around going, I still have laminate in my countertops because I still haven't spent the money yet on my kitchen because it's going to be a huge remodel. And I'm going, this looks nice. It's got granite. It's got stainless steel. What's wrong with it? That faucet. Oh my God, that sink. And that comes the spoiled nature of watching too much television also. I would just be happy that I didn't have to do anything other than replace a faucet. To me, that's $250. But yeah, I think you're all right. You all hit the nail on the head on that one.
Yeah, I agree. If we were to go more into kitchens, Joe, what are I always like to say that kitchens and bathrooms, everyone's heard it, they help sell houses. They're some of the rooms that people remember most about most properties. What are some of the things that you should be looking at? Let's go start with kitchens, countertop space, stuff on refrigerators, accent pieces that should be there, and stuff that should not be on the countertop.
Yes. Well, our focus whenever we go into a home that has a kitchen that's not looking current enough is we kind of call it the jewelry. And we look at what are the things we can help them figure out to change first that are less expensive. And the hardware is, you can go to Target or Lowe's and for $2 or $3 per knob or per handle, totally change the look. If you have an attached breakfast nook or breakfast room, if the light fixture can be current, that's critical. The color on the walls, something that a finish in general that's really out is a real orangey oak. They're kind of like the less expensive prefab cabinets that people would buy at, home at hardware stores. And those colors, if they just cannot justify replacing, painting cabinets can be a really good idea. And also importantly is having a wall color that can play down the tone of a pickled wood or an orangey wood or something that's not current. One thing that I would always say is that if you're going to spend money on countertops, depending on the price point of the home for the region of the country you live in, granite and quartz can be very important investments to make. I would not spend money on Corian, at least in our part of the country. It's not inexpensive, and you really don't get much mileage out of it. In terms of appliances, if you need to replace your appliances, it's still a good idea. Stainless is leading edge. I would say that black, you can incorporate black and stainless. So maybe if you have a black dishwasher, that's fine, but you need a new refrigerator. Maybe you get a stainless refrigerator with black handles so they flow and you're not replacing everything.
Right.
So
how about for the fixtures that are on top of the countertops? Because like everyone does have a lot of, the toasters and the blenders and everything else. How much stuff do you advise people keep on there and take off? And are you into like putting like the cookbooks up there, or like the fake bowl of fruit or something like that? Like little accent pieces like that. Sometimes that could help bring up like a backsplash or the colors in the countertop.
Yeah. Well, what I would say, the two extremes never work. People sometimes go overboard and they clear every single thing off their counter, and you go through it and you think, oh wow, this kitchen must not be very usable because they obviously don't use it. I think a nice set of canisters, a nice coffee pot, some small appliances, but don't overdo it. You want to leave counter space visible. In terms of if you live in the home, a real bowl of fruit is a good thing to do. If you don't live there, sometimes, a fake bowl of fruit or some type of a plant, you do want to have some softness, but you just want to strike the fine balance between creating an environment, an inviting environment.
Yeah. So try not to keep it too busy, and try to, keep only things that kind of make a nice flow, make it look usable and make it actually be usable. But if it's too much stuff, too much junk, get the extra stuff off. And then I do like adding color. I always find that adding some color into kitchens is usually goes a really long way, whether it's towels or fruit, fake fruit basket things or some stuff like that.
Yeah. And the other thing, we also work with a lot of investors, and as they're planning kitchens, we're always telling people bar stools have become less popular. When you compare, there are counter height stools and bar height stools. The bar height are the ones you kind of have to climb up on. So if you're planning a kitchen with the thought that you'll eventually be selling the house, counter height is a much more popular now solution, because, if you've got kids that are in the family, you don't want them climbing up high, and the partition of having such a high countertop usually isn't as appealing as keeping it lower.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So you have a lot of work with investors right now, and on the investor front, I see either investor staging, and I see just as many often not stage at all. And a lot of times, like in my experience, I see them. They'll usually call me when they're having a problem trying to sell the house, and they want pictures done or they want some marketing help. And then and a lot of times when I go into some of these rehabs, the first thing I see is that it's not staged at all. Like it's completely brand new inside, but every room's empty. Every room is a little bit cold. That there is no color, and there's just nothing nothing drawing anything out in any of the spaces. What do you see with your investors?
Yeah, what I would tell you is that for the most part, once we stage a property for an investor, then it becomes a pattern for them and a habit, and they do stage. I recently had one. It was interesting. We did the quote in November, and they thought that they would just go without and just see what happened. And it was an amazing property. They did a great job. Put it on for 3 weeks, something like that. Came back in the new year and said, okay, let's get it done. We staged it. It was under contract in under a week. So it really is just, once someone sees that impact, and for investors, the whole story is sell it fast, take the capital and go buy more houses and do more work. So if you build in a budget for staging up front, then it just becomes part of your managed, budget. And I think it's a really good payback.
Yeah, that's it. And I agree. And it ties directly into a homeowner. From a homeowner's perspective, if you see what the real estate investors are doing and what you just said there, I've seen that happen many times where I've gone in and told the investor, you need to get a stager here. You got to do something to this space here to bring it out because you can't tell what's going on here. And I think it's a huge lesson for homeowners to see that even on a brand new, completely remodeled home where they tore down walls and they opened up the floor plan and they've got the brand new kitchens, brand new bathrooms, freshly painted and stuff. Spaces like that, you still have to do some stage or element of staging to it, or else the house, it's hard to see, it's hard to visualize it.
Yes, exactly. That's right. And our process is, we deliver the furniture, we stage one day, and we have a professional go in and take listing photos and shoot them to the realtor that within 24 hours of being taken. So speed is usually of the essence again. So if we stage a house on a Tuesday or Wednesday, the photos can be loaded Friday and they can be active for the weekend. So it doesn't drag on. And that's also important.
Right. No, I totally agree. And then it looks like we did lose Jayson and are you there?
I'm here.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
I'm here, brother.
That's weird. I don't even see you on the TV screen here or on the monitor.
1980s computer you're using. Hey, that little jalopy computer you're using. Hey, Joe, I want to ask you. Joe, can you see me?
No, I can hear you, but can't see you.
Hey, Tracy.
That's so weird. I see all of you.
Really, that's so funny.
Yeah, I see everyone.
I think that's
that Midwest internet connection you have there.
That's what it looks like. There's some funky stuff, and I have somebody called Electricity Hacker that's trying to get in. So I don't know who that is.
Hey, I want to ask though, real quick, since you can still hear me. I don't know why that is, but I want to ask you, Joe, how important is lighting in staging? Lighting here in Arizona is we got the sunshine. Everybody loves the sunshine here. But how important is lighting? We got LED bulbs, and now I'm seeing even bulbs that change colors.
I haven't seen
with
that.
an app and stuff like that. I don't know if you've seen those, but you can kind of capture the mood of the room, if you will. How important is staging?
I think it's critical, and I should have put it up there almost with cleaning. It's just so important now, especially when you think of couples that come after work for evening showings. A takeaway from a house that feels dark is really unappealing. Now, the challenge that we've faced is the CFL bulbs are really tough in the real estate market. Unless you have the advantage of going to the home first, turning every light on, having them be at full brightness, CFL is really not the best solution in the house that you're selling. I have to say, I still recommend people you can still buy incandescent, the old-fashioned light bulbs, and I think it's a good idea when possible to put them back in. LEDs can be good, but they're expensive, so people may not yet be comfortable with that. But for the time being, with lamps and even the can lights, if you get those 65-watt incandescent bulbs, I know it's not environmentally friendly to recommend, but it's a lot better when you're trying to get a house to look bright and pretty.
And you know what? I totally agree with you. It is a different kind of light that you get out of those bulbs. And from a photography perspective, when I'm shooting those houses, I do have to I'm making a lot of adjustments actually when I got those kind of lights. I think another side point off of that too is that when you're buying lights for your home or replacing the light bulbs, if you have a mixture of the two different types of bulbs, and they actually produce different types of light. And I could also see that kind of, it doesn't flow very well, especially like if you have a room that has recessed lighting, or if you've got two lamps in a room, but the light bulbs are not the same. One's CFL and one's the old kind. It is goofy.
Right.
Yeah.
Awful.
Right.
Looks weird.
On a light bulb discussion too, the thing that really I have an issue with is when you have those clear glass fixtures out on the exterior and you put like a CFL light bulb in, and it's like, the curly Q thing that is really not attractive. So at your front door, if you've got a light, you should try to get a decorative bulb, because the bulbs are going to show and it just looks terrible. And I think that's kind of a different spin on this topic, but I really think you should go stand at your front door and just stare at everything you can think of to stare at, because you can be sure when a buyer's with the realtor who's undoing the lockbox, opening up the house, they're standing there getting a first impression of how all clean and tidy and good light bulbs and all that outside before they even walk inside the house, and they've already got an impression. So I think that is an important piece to all of this too.
You hit the nail on the head about that. I can't tell you because we're always futzing around with the lockbox. And if you don't have a clean, freshly painted front door, I always tell people the first thing they're going to see is the lights in the front door. Make sure the lights work because everybody's flipping on lights. And if one light is off and one light is on, it looks like there's maintenance issues on the home. There's dust everywhere, especially in Arizona. We have plenty of dust. We don't have the rain, but we have the dust. And it's all about how you enter. And I think one thing, it's not so much a staging thing, but it's also cleanliness goes to smell, because I think the next between cleanliness and lighting, the third thing is any odd smells you have in the house. So if you have animals, it's tough. I mean, I gotta tell you, I just sold a place and it was a beautiful little condo, and my client has vision, and ultimately in the end he's going to renovate the whole place. But it smelled funny, not because of animals, but it just old furniture, old carpets, and everybody would come and go.
Too.
Yeah,
you think you're hiding in one space in the house or going in the garage. You think the odor's not coming in. For sure, you smoke in the garage, it's coming into your house.
Absolutely.
That's a bad one.
Hey, I saw a funny thing too, local realtor. And Tracy, you may need to refresh because now I refreshed and I can't see you. I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Okay.
And on my end, Tracy,
I can hear you, but I can't see you. But I heard, speaking of pets or whatever, a funny thing from a realtor here locally, if I'm going to show your house, please scoop the poop in the backyard. Right, as part of your staging. Nobody wants to see piles of, I don't know, Mount Everest in your backyard from your pets. So that's
litter. The kitty litter is the same. Ugh.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Box. Oh my god. People are. I mean, yes, people have allergies, but then all of a sudden, people all of a sudden have worse allergies once they see it. It's just don't put that out in the middle of your kitchen. It's just gross.
Yeah, exactly. So lighting is good. Now, you touched a little bit about the front of the house. How important is, first impression, right? So if you had, Jorge spoke about the kitchen and bathrooms kind of being a big deal, which I agree with. But I also think more importantly is the curb appeal. So are there any staging tips that you would have for outside, or do you just typically do the inside for staging?
We definitely look at the outside. And the way I kind of think about it, when we go in to view a home, again, what we do is our initial pass through the house when we're in a staging consultation is to go and walk through by ourselves. So we're putting the hat on of a prospective buyer. And sometimes it's like an emotional roller coaster. It can look great outside. You open the front door and there's, tattered wallpaper and it doesn't look great. And then you get to the family room and they've redone and it's beautiful. And so actually, I think all of the pieces being consistently put together are important. And on curb appeal, you can spend a lot of money or you can be conservative and hit the major points. Like in our market, we do have, unlike probably Arizona, a lot of grass and weeds and mulch and all those kind of things. Right. So if you've got beds, they should be weeded and trimmed. Any bushes should be nicely trimmed. When it's the season that it's warm enough, we recommend, instead of putting annuals throughout your yard, which can be expensive, get a really nice large pot and maybe put it by the front door and keep whatever that current, if it's pansies in the spring or impatiens in the summer. New mailbox and new house numbers are so inexpensive and they can really make a difference. The other thing is shutters. The number of people that have like those fiberglass that have sun faded and they're like a tealy, greeny blue. It's not expensive to either take the shutters down and paint them or to purchase new shutters. But that and a fresh coat of paint on the front door can really make a big difference on curb appeal. Another thing I would say is yard art. Get rid of all the yard art. No personal little cute. Oh yeah, I know. But those kind of things.
Velocity.
Definitely. There you go. Sorry guys. But yes, you're right. Exactly that.
So now I want to talk a little bit too about, and we touched with pets or whatever. When I've walked into homes and I see like the little, Glade plugins on every single plug, I automatically think like, are you hiding something here? Is there something I'm missing? You talked about you being equal. Talk about the smell of the house and the first impression, because we've talked about, baking cookies when you're doing open houses, some kind of inviting kind of aroma. How important is aromatherapy, if you will, for home staging?
Well, I don't know, Tracy, what your philosophy is. We say unplug every plug-in. Do not go down that path. It's just like that controversy when people are walking through department stores and people come at you with a perfume bottle. I have been in homes, I leave with a headache. It's just terrible. So I think
That's
that...
a Seinfeld episode.
What's that? Yeah, there you go. Don't lick the envelopes and don't put plug-ins in your house. Right. My personal, Tracy, you're seeing the reaction of buyers in a way that I don't. I don't know how they feel about it, but our belief is that all that stuff should not be in a house.
I don't, because everybody, has a smell that appeals to one person but doesn't to another. Also, people are have allergies, and it's true. You get headaches from some of them are very pungent. And especially if it's like a vacant house, because you know how vacant homes sometimes have a smell to them too. Mm-hmm. First thing you see is a stupid plug-in in the blank wall, which is probably painted some color. Well, the colors now, at least in Arizona, are these gray tones. This kind of French
everywhere
style.
Yeah,
everything is the same, And I come in and like this giant Glade plug-in, right? I'm walking in the door, and it's like, ugh, it's too much. Yeah. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
We've got some distinctive smells here in Arizona, because if you go into a Sun City home, no offense to Sun City, okay, but you can smell, when old people live in a home, and no offense to old people, I'm getting kind of old myself, but there is a distinctive smell in an old person's home versus a home with a bunch of kids who have stinky, smelly shoes in their bedrooms, right? So I've walked into some Sun City homes, and it's like, holy cow, I can smell the medicine cabinet from here, kind of thing. So there is some level, I think, that you got to mask some of the smells and make it more neutral, I guess. I don't know if that's just putting a fan in the house and blowing it out or what. I don't know.
If you're going to have an open house, it's probably not a bad idea, depending on the season, to get there and open windows for a while before, just especially like you said with vacants. It's just unavoidable that would happen. I think too, like it's not a bad idea to go around and flush the toilets if they've been sitting, because I think that they get that stale whatever. I think those are something. Run water in the faucets, that on a vacant, maybe that could make a difference too.
Yeah, no, I always do all my vacant homes. I always tell them put some stuff in the drains just to keep it fresh and clean, because when it's vacant, it does get that smell from the sewers.
Right.
The other thing is we talked about the animal smells, making sure that the litter box is removed or cleaned. Talking, Jayson, about the smell of older homes. Sometimes it's really the fabrics and the furniture and the carpets that have been over many years. And, if anybody is, my grandparents say it's not old. It's only, I put it a year ago and it's like 20 years ago, but that's how it works. I think any sort of fabrics and carpets can take on a smell. So to clean the carpets. But again, one thing we run into in Arizona, because we're so hot sometimes here during the year, is when you immediately clean the carpets, for some reason, 3 to 4 days later, it starts to get a weird smell again. It's an odd chemical smell. So yeah, it's hard to get the right smell, I guess. But yeah, I don't try to do something superficial, or I just tell people try to be clean. I always go into if it's a vacant home and I'm doing open house, I always open all the windows.
I'll make a quick suggestion here too, because I did this on my house when I moved into it, and that was I cleaned the air ducts.
Yeah, the air filter too, and the air filter and the air conditioner.
And the air ducts, I got to tell you, there's a lot of dust and things in there that create some of the past smells, if you will. So it was kind of amazing. It was kind of disgusting, to be honest with you. It was like, good grief, that's in there, and I'm breathing that in. Not that I'm a germaphobe. I'm not Howie Mandel, but it made a big, big difference. And I got some allergies myself, but it cleaned it out. It smelled good, like fresh, regular mountain air. So clean the air ducts, I guess. If you're looking to sell your home, clean the air ducts. Even if the register looks clean, it's probably not clean on the inside.
Yeah, and those are good tips. I like that. Is there what about Febreze? Would you does it help?
Don't you believe those commercials, Jorge? I mean, don't you smell the?
I like it. I've used it a lot.
Blindfolded?
Yeah. I bought it for rehabbers to put in there when they needed it.
Yeah.
You're talking to Joe in Procter and Gamble town. So we have all those products very popular in our marketplace.
Oh, sure.
I think some of them could be effective and some of them may just be pulling you down the path of the artificial odor. So I think the best is keep your house clean, keep your carpets clean, keep, those kind of things. And if you have water issues, you've got to have them repaired. You don't want to have a, water leak in the basement that's a musty smell. Running a dehumidifier with a permanent hose to a drain can be really effective in an older home. If you go down to the basement or the lower level and it smells musty. I don't know, in Arizona, you probably don't have many basements or musty areas, but it's a big problem here and probably in Chicago too. So,
hey, talk a little bit too, Joe, about, because I fight my wife on this. Okay, and I'm going to give a little personal thing on this, right? She likes to put things in the corner of a room at an angle. Like it's like a big thing for her.
Yeah.
Like she want to put a TV at an angle. I'm like, are you looking? Can you see all the wasted space that we have behind there?
Yeah. You're going to win this one from my perspective.
Okay. It's all about proper furniture, right? But she wants to put like some kind of square rectangle thing in a corner. It's like, it doesn't fit that way.
Yeah. For a TV, that can make sense if it fits and the room doesn't have a wall large enough for the right size media stand. What I really have a problem with is when people put a bed at an angle, that they have a home on the real estate market that has a bed at an angle. Visually, it chews up so much space.
Yeah.
The other issue with furniture placement that's often even more prevalent than the angles is when they line all the furniture up along the walls. What our focus is that if you have a fireplace in the room, we like to try to get the TV to be in the same focal point, and then you can float a sofa and you can have a chair facing the sofa and create a more intimate seating space. But if you walk into a home where the one sofa is against, the outside wall and you've got the TV or media stand against the other outside wall, it kind of looks like a bowling alley and it just isn't as engaging as better placement. But the angle thing does kind of throw people's sense of balance off, and that can be kind of risky.
We do have homes there that don't have corners. We do have rounded wall or rooms here in Arizona, in which case, okay, I get that, but she always wants to put it at the angle. The other thing I'll say for builders, right? Builders make it hard on stagers too, because some builders put like this big patio door right in the middle, and you can't fit furniture to accommodate the door. So then people put a couch in front of the door, and you got to walk behind the couch to get out to your patio or something.
Right.
And it's kind of awkward.
Yeah, the rule of thumb, actually, we just did a model home for a builder today. And the rule of thumb in walk paths is 36 inches. So if you can make sure that you have clearance of 36 inches, even if you have to float a sofa in front of what might be a door to an outside space, if there's enough to feel that you can comfortably navigate the room, then sometimes that's just what you have to do. We will often take furniture into a home and position it 2 or 3 times in the space to see what's the best choice. But that can be hard if they haven't done enough planning when they design the spaces for where furniture should go. The other problem is
older homes, right? I mean, older homes aren't always these open floor plans and stuff. So,
right.
And that's a tough thing. Like you mentioned, the older homes. I think, one of the biggest complaints I get is, especially when I show older homes, well, they did all these upgrades, especially if they're flipped. But the kitchen, there's no countertops, there's no space. And I constantly reiterate to the point that, maybe I'm just too upfront, but you're just not going to get a giant kitchen open floor plan house from 1925 unless you're ripping out all the interior walls. And then you have this one big room. And I think that goes back to how you just lay it out. There's ways to live simply in a small space, and you could still get, I think that's one of the things stagers know, is how to put a lot of things without making it look overcrowded as well. There's still ways around it.
Yeah, and I would say in a kitchen, like if you have a tough time with table placement, if you take out the chandelier and put in a flush mount light fixture, then you're not forced to center a table in the wrong place. And we've done that a lot because sometimes, speaking of builders, they'll pick what they view as the middle of a space, but it dictates table placement that isn't very user friendly, and that can really help. So the type of light fixture you use can impact the flexibility you have.
I like that.
Very cool.
What about we got about another 5 minutes here. I really want to touch really quickly on bathrooms. We did a lot in the kitchen there, and on bathrooms, I think again it's another one of those focal points for a lot of people. Can you give us some quick things about what you would do in bathrooms?
Oh yeah,
with towel sets and soap dishes and all that.
So the general look on shower curtains, if you can go, that there is a cotton waffle weave. They come in white, they come in cream. They sell them at Pottery Barn and they're really nice, but they also sell them at Bed Bath & Beyond and Target, for like a third of the price. And then new shower hooks and a clean, crisp shower liner are important. You should have hardware. And if we have a lot in our homes in Cincinnati of Hollywood lights, it's the big panel over the mirror with the clear bulbs. Yeah. If you can justify removing those and putting in a little vanity light, that is really important. The other thing, and I hate to admit this about Cincinnati, I don't know if you guys have this, but we have homes where they have carpet in the bathroom.
Yes, yes.
They have to go.
That is so gross.
I know. So if you do that, like I had a client with a large bathroom and she called me and she said, I'm always the bridesmaid. People like my house, but then they buy then one down the street. She was immaculate. It was new carpet. We said, you got to get it out of here. And it was a large bathroom. They pulled out the carpet. They pulled out the tile that was in the toilet area. And it was $1,100 to put. And I would recommend if you do it, either the plank or 12 or 16-inch large square tile. And it's not small money, but she immediately sold her home. It's really important. Like I said earlier, the caulk in the bathtubs, make sure it's crisp. Pay a painter or a professional. Caulk is tough to work with, and bad caulk is just awful. If your mirror, the look now with mirrors, you don't want those mounted across the whole wall kind of mirrors. So if you have a vanity that's a wood tone, maybe buy a mirror that has a frame around it, or you can get a beveled edge simple for like $30 at one of the hardware stores. Just the size hanging over the vanity, it's much better. The cultured marble is not good. There's a white acrylic top if your home is modestly priced, which can be current, or granite. Like sometimes bathrooms are small enough that you can get a granite installer to use a scrap and put granite. So those are some things. A nice piece of artwork, show towels, go to Target, buy they're nice towels. Don't wash them, don't use them. Just put them out for a showing, and it really just elevates the overall look. And hide away your like shampoos and all that kind of stuff. Take it out of the shower, put it away.
Yeah, I like that. No, thanks. I really like that. I think it's just such another important room, and it's a room that, because we use it so often and for all the things we use, it's easy to clutter up a bathroom with the small counter space that we've got to work with. And I like those tips a lot. Let's see, Jayson, we are right about an hour now already.
Are you telling me to cue the music? Hey, don't go anywhere, everybody, because James has a question there. But we try to keep this to an hour, so because we want to be cognizant of everybody's time, but we want to answer James' question there too. So we'll kind of exit here, but we'll keep it live. And if you're not listening to us on Blab and you're listening to the replay on YouTube, well, you missed out on all the fun. It's a fun time on Blab.
Yeah, so
after, please.
we will do all right, so
loosen up. Okay, where's your beer?
So I'm drinking water tonight. No beer right now.
Some kind of
I'm still
wine next time.
Yeah.
Some kind of cleansing diet.
I did an event last week where I spoke at, and I got called James Gandolfini.
Diet right now.
Yeah, I gotta lose weight. So but what I want to do though is before we cue out of here, thank both Tracy and Joe for coming on the show and talking about this topic, because it's a great topic, and you can go between homeowners and rehabbers. There's so many just things that come up with it. It's such an important thing to do for everybody. So thanks a lot for sharing everything that you had to share with us.
Thank you. Thanks for including me. It was great.
Hey, tell everybody real quick.
Yeah.
Tell everybody how we can get a hold of you real quick. Let's do our exit thing here real quick.
Yep.
How can we get a
Okay.
hold?
Our website is designtomarket.com, and the 2 is TO. So our website is great. You'll also see us on Facebook at Design to Market and on Instagram at Design to Market and Twitter. So
Perfect.
social media, all of them, you can find us.
All right, beautiful. Tracy, tell us how we can get a hold of you.
Well, the easiest way to get in touch with me is my phone number, 480-599-7746. I also have my website, which is residentialrealestatescottsdale.com. You also can find me on Coldwell Banker's site. Phoenix Fun on Facebook, and that's PHXFUN on Facebook. On Twitter, I'm Swiftly Said. And look forward to hearing from everyone, keeping in touch.
Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much, girls, for coming on the show tonight. This is good.
Hey, I got to plug myself here, Jorge. Don't get ahead of the cart.
No, I'm not exiting on you.
All right, man. Hey, you can reach me on my website, www.valleythesunrealestateteshow.com. Check out my podcast on iTunes, the same valleythesunrealestateshow.com, and write a review for me, please. Subscribe to the YouTube channel too. All right.
Yeah, and I'm George Cuevas. I help realtors drink margaritas responsibly.
All need our drinks in this business.
All right, cool. All right, take care, everyone. We're going to continue here, though, after the after show party. After show.
Okay.